we got to talk about Liverpool.
Wow.
Now, I want to go out there. I believe Klopp's been to Naples 4 times and he has lost every single time.
That's right.
Equally, you can look at it the other way and say, on another occasion, he went there, lost, and then won the Champions League. So,
True.
Exactly. You get, if you're superstitious, I think this is all irrelevant. It's all in the past. It's all. What is relevant is that Liverpool were terrible. Liverpool played far worse in this game than they did before. Napoli were exceptional. Sometimes both things can be true. That's the only way to explain the fact that Napoli should have been 5-0 up at halftime, if not more. Now, I'm just counting the sitter that they missed and the penalty that they missed, right?
Yeah,
they were 3-0 up, would have been 5-0.
Kvaratskhelia with the sitter that was saved on the line by Van Dijk, let's put it that way. The penalty missed by Osimhen that maybe Zielinski should have taken, like the first one that he took. And just Napoli exploiting perfectly all the weaknesses that we see, all the issues that we see right now with Liverpool. The high line that is left exposed by the lack of counter press and press overall and being aggressive in midfield. And then obviously how terrible Trent Alexander-Arnold and Joe Gomez are playing right now defensively this season. This was like per team level, the defending from them too.
We're going to dissect everything that went wrong for Liverpool, but I think I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to Napoli. Just for people who don't follow this, Napoli decided in the summer, all right, we're going to cut back massively on everything, right? Their wage bill is about, I think it's a little more than half of what it was a year ago, right? They lost their longtime captain, local hero, Insigne. Yeah. They lost Dries Mertens, who's probably the most popular player. We'll get to that later. Possibly the most popular player at the club since Diego Maradona. And they lost their defensive rock, Kalidou Koulibaly. Okay, you lose. People talk about leadership and big personalities. This is what you lost in the summer, okay? And to come back so strong, they're second in Serie A, 2 points behind Atalanta, and to go and play with such ease, such confidence, that is a huge credit to Luciano Spalletti. Remember Zielinski linked with a move away all summer. He was phenomenal, 2 goals and of course that assist for Anguissa. Anguissa was phenomenal. Meret, another guy that got so much criticism, so much stick. Kim, the big man at the back, filling Koulibaly's massive shoes. This was special.
Yeah, I don't know if they can consistently play like this in the big games. And we saw them dropping point last season at home, especially, and we've seen it already this year. But when they're on it like this, and when on top of it, they face a team lethargical like Liverpool that has no clue what to do with the ball or without the ball. It's fun for them to exploit that and destroy them.
So a lot of times I thought Liverpool, even when they weren't always playing, and they didn't always play well in sort of the golden era of the last couple of years, they had big players who did big player type things. Okay, one of them, Sadio Mane, is gone. Yeah. Luis Diaz, I thought was okay. He did his part, but he's not Sadio Mane yet. No. Right? Nunez, Firmino, for now, not really contributing. Mo Salah and Virgil van Dijk, I think, are the 2 guys who, in the past, when you're not playing well, could elevate. And they failed to do that. Why are they both down at the same time?
I don't know. I think part of the problem, and I think the way they built their success was by outrunning everyone as well, being more intense than everybody. And this is, I think I checked last night, this is the 6 or 7 game in a row this season where the opposition ran more than Liverpool, have more sprints than the Liverpool players, and have more sprints at high intensity than the Liverpool players. So everything that has made them good is not everything, sorry. One of the biggest thing that they built all their success on, this is at the heart of everything Klopp has done, is gone. Whether that's because the midfield is not good enough to do it mostly. Why is
and
James
obviously
Milner,
they have injuries and stuff like that.
How come James Milner starts a game like this? I've got nothing against him. Great servant, great player,
Because
whatever
if
you
Milner
want.
doesn't start, then you have to play Firmino in midfield or Matip in midfield. You run out of bodies.
No, I know, okay, but at least, even in the build-up, I would rather have Firmino there than bloody James Milner, who can't progress the ball anyway. Has never been able to. But just to go back on your point, Gab, the thing about Salah and Van Dijk, they need that intensity and they need that, to outrun. They need the team to be so good in terms of running more than the opposition, because then Van Dijk is not so exposed and the high line is not so exposed. And, as good as he is or as good as he was before, there's a point that you can't always be running back towards your goal all the time. That there's a point where you can't be left 2v1. You can't be, and I think that also leads him to making mistakes that we haven't seen. I mean, I think the stats say like in 150 games before, never gave a penalty away. Now he's given 2 away in the last 7 games, Fulham and Napoli on Wednesday night.
And he could have been sent off with a different referee against Everton.
And I think for Salah, we go back to the counter press where Mane was so influential in. For Salah to be so efficient, the higher you recover the ball, the better it is for him. Yeah. If you don't recover those balls high up the pitch, then he loses a lot of his strength. And then he seems to play more as a playmaker now and wider than he's ever done before. So I'm not really sure what's the idea with him.
Maybe he's trying to take responsibility somehow by wanting the ball to feet more.
How would you think? How would you explain how average they've been together so far this season?
So, I look, the fitness side. So I think there's several elements, right? I think there was such a balance to it. I mean, you've touched upon it before. When you press from the front efficiently, then the midfield becomes more efficient. They have an easier thing plugging. They're not always chasing, and then by consequence, the defense doesn't get exposed the way they do. The fact that that's missing because there's a lack of chemistry, because Nunez just arrived and then he's in and he's out and he gets suspended and whatever. Firmino can't get around the way he used to. All these things, and Mane's not there. Yeah. All these things obviously I think have an impact up front. But one thing I want to point out though is even when Liverpool were dominant, this thing with Andy Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold being exposed, they've always been exposed. They've always been caught up high at the pitch. The difference is that in the past, the number of times that they managed to recover because of their athleticism, because of their reading, because the angles they took, of all the things that make them great. Those are 2 tremendous recovery defenders. But, obviously, if you get exposed 10 times a game, it's difficult to recover 10 times. Yeah. I think that's the main difference. But that element of risk is always there. Now, Klopp said Liverpool need to reinvent themselves.
What does that even mean? What, you change the formation, you play 3 at the back, you play 4-2-3-1. You're like, you can't do that now.
I am genuinely wondering whether at this stage where they are, given how short they are in central midfielders. And by the way, I don't want to jinx anything, right? What happens if Fabinho gets hurt?
Well, that would be.
Could you look? Matip has played in a midfield in a back 3 in the past. I don't think Fabinho has, but obviously he's played right back. He's intelligent.
Yeah, he plays centre back.
You could slot him in there, and he can play centre back as well. I'm just wondering, purely hypothetically, might he be mulling over a back 3 with say Fabinho, Van Dijk, and whatever Konate or whoever you want to put?
Yeah, Matip, Van Dijk, Konate, and then you leave Fabinho in midfield.
And then you leave Robertson and Trent free in that sense, and then you can either leave Fabinho in midfield as an extra shield. I mean, it's a different kind of pressing, but you do have that cover, and then you can play Darwin through the middle or whatever. You can range the front 3 any way you like. You can put Firmino behind, sort of in a 10 position, and Salah and Diaz wide, play Salah or whatever. There's a lot of solutions, right, at that point. The difficulty for him is how do you make that adjustment on the slide when there's so many fixtures one after the other?
Again, you will not have time to work on a training run or anything like that. I think and just to finish, I think Trent maybe needs a rest because you can be caught, you can have a wrong positioning. There's a lot of things you can as a defender that you can do, but not putting the effort, not running. I mean, the goal, he's literally there. He's standing up, looking at the ball, not even moving. It's not even like he's jogging, nothing. There's nothing. But how can, at that level, and as good as he is, how can you not give more of yourself, thinking like, okay, I need to recover, I need to go and I need to cover, I don't know, anything. He's like a passenger.
Who is Liverpool's reserve right back?
A young Calvin Ramsey, who arrived in the summer.
I was going to say James Milner.
Or James Milner.
No, you don't want him in the lineup.
Well, yeah, I don't even know. Like,
it's tough, and I think now is when he's got to do a psychological job as well. Harvey Elliott had a poor game. He's very, very young.
Yeah,
so you want to nurture him.
For him.
I'm just saying, from a man management perspective, how do you talk to Harvey Elliott and say, "Kid, you're still a kid. you had an absolute stinker. I'm not going to lie to you. You were terrible, as were most of your teammates.
Yeah.
But I believe in you. Keep going. How does he find it in himself? Again, I don't know the kid. Maybe he's got one of those iron personalities. But this is where, as a manager, I think you really earn your chops. It's with those players who can contribute, who had bad games. And obviously the same applies to Trent as well. Van Dijk, obviously you speak to differently. Van Dijk's had poor periods of his career before. Yeah. Hopefully he knows how to deal with it. And Salah, of course, as well.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.